We got three legends: Giannis, Nikola Jokic, and Steph Curry, all leading their teams to some pretty good seasons right now.
Right.
I want to know. This is kind of a double question here.
Right.
First, which one of those teams do you think can make a finals run? And secondly, what would a finals run do? Or which legacy would be impacted more by a finals run?
Yeah, I would definitely say Stephen Curry and the Warriors for both of those answers.
Okay.
I think the Warriors, I don't think people talking enough about, first of all, since Jimmy's been traded there, it's pretty much the same effect as when Luka has got to the Lakers.
Yeah.
It's just that the Lakers were at, what?
They were already good playing
They
great
were already
basketball.
solid, so they got to the 2 seed. But the Warriors were the 10 seed, and now they're, what, 7 or 6?
Absolutely.
Could end up being 5. So they took the same
They're not
leap.
even far from the Lakers, honestly.
They took the same leap as the Lakers.
Yeah.
It's just the Lakers did better at the beginning. I genuinely believe with playoff Jimmy, a elite two-way player who is a top 10 player in the playoffs in the league still, until I'm proven wrong. If Jimmy can stay healthy, I don't really have health concerns with anyone else other than if Jimmy can stay healthy for that roster. There's a part of me that matchup-wise thinks they can make it out of the West. That is a possibility. That is I'd give them more than a 25% chance.
Okay.
Closer to 50 than 0. Like,
are you doing your math right here?
Yeah, like
No, you're not. Hold on. Because if you think the Lakers and the Thunder, you think they're both bigger contenders?
There's a side of me that could see.
What do you? Let me know what you really
I'm
think.
gonna keep it a buck.
Yeah,
the Warriors. I'm not gonna lie. Come playoff time, I would take the Warriors and Jimmy Butler over the Oklahoma City Thunder. And it's like I said, I'm not worried about Shea. It's the simple fact that there's guys that I am not worried about. Like, I could see Draymond getting under Chat and just stuff. I mean, I could see. I think it goes Shea, and then you have the two best players are on the Warriors.
Okay, so
and come crunch time, when it's closing time, we just talked about Curry not being clutch. I think they have the most clutch and the best closer on the court for the Golden State Warriors until, once again, he ages or I'm proven wrong. But I genuinely believe that, and I've called this, and a part of me wants myself to be right, but I said early at the, like, before the trade deadline, Warriors need to go get Jimmy.
Yeah.
The moment he wanted to get a trade, I'm like, Warriors need to go get Jimmy. And he said he wouldn't resign there, and I thought it was done. And then when he went there, I'm like, yeah, I called it. Like, they could win the finals.
It is what it is.
They could win the finals. Because I know Boston, weirdly enough,
would not want to see.
I would rather see the Lakers. I would rather see the Lakers.
I mean,
I would rather see OKC.
Yeah.
There's no team that I would rather. I don't want to see. The one team I don't want to see is the Warriors.
Yeah.
It's just vibes. We would lose.
Yeah.
Could have a high chance of losing.
So, first off, I completely disagree with the fact that you think the Warriors can make it out the West. That's what I will say. I disagree with that completely. They cannot beat the Lakers. After all of the stuff you just said, that team cannot beat the Lakers. Steph and Jimmy are just not Luka and Bron. And after that, the Lakers probably have a better roster. And that's going to be a matchup that has to happen. Right. Because, like you said,
that might be a second round. Second round.
That would be who, the Warriors and the Lakers. It could if
it's not gonna be a first game.
It probably won't. It will be the Warriors would have to an ideal Western Conference semifinal.
The Warriors would have to win the first play-in game and be a play-in, but that's not. I don't think
not the play-in, but I'm saying that the ideal matchups would be Thunder versus Warriors. And then Lakers versus Nuggets, that would be a great semifinal. Hopefully that can happen. The Warriors might be able to get up to a 4 seed. Right. But my thing is, a lot of things will have to happen for that to happen. Yeah. And maybe they could beat OKC, but OKC would have to catch the Lakers early because that's the only team that's going to take OKC out, in my opinion. I don't think – and I'll get to Denver when I get to Denver because we obviously talking about Jokic right now too. But I don't think – that the Warriors can get out of the West. And I do agree with everything you said about Jimmy Butler and how that makes an addition and how you How do you think they could beat the Thunder?
Yeah.
And so you do agree with my X Factor take, right? That Jalen Williams might be the biggest X Factor in this year's playoffs. The fact that you're making decisions
for them.
You're making decisions because of him right now.
Not even just him. Like, Chet might be better than him.
I mean, Chet might be better. Yeah, that is very true. But he's still young, too. Like, I feel like...
That's my point. Like there's not a solidified number two.
But the pressure is more on Jalen Williams than anyone else.
Yes, and I think that any other team that we talk about contender-wise, there's no question who the number 1 and number 2 is.
No, we
talk about the Warriors. We talk about the Lakers. We talk about the Celtics. Even though the media wants to question it, we know who the number 1 and the number 2 is. Every team knows who their number 1 and number 2 is. And come playoff time in a crunch time game, I don't know who the number 2 is for the OKC Thunder.
Yeah.
And once again, I'm big on being there, going through failure, because I've never seen anyone in the entire NBA history not go through any failure, be this young, and win, because it's just never happened.
That makes sense.
And I really am frustrated on the fact that I genuinely think with all the draft picks, and if you didn't do it this year, I think the Thunder, this roster, because you can't really... I'm not saying there's not a lot of places they can go with their roster because they still have a lot of picks.
Yeah.
But with Kevin Durant, it's obvious he's being traded this summer. Give them 8 picks. Give them 10 picks for Kevin Durant, because then you do have your automatic number 2.
Yeah, then you do.
Then J-Dub is the best number 3 in the entire league. Then Chet is the best.
Depending on who you keep, because you're gonna have to give up somebody to get Kevin Durant still.
I don't know if you give them 8 picks. If you have to give up a 36-year-old,
that is very true.
I don't know. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. People like y'all think I'm trolling. No, I'm serious. Give them 10 picks.
Yeah. No, I agree.
You still will have 7 left over,
and you will win a championship.
And you will automatically win a championship.
Yeah, like
you'll still have what 6, 7, like 6. You still have 6.
No way,
you still have 6, 7 picks left. You feel what I'm saying? You'll have picks left, and like it's crazy. OKC give up 10 picks, and they'll still have a good amount of picks, the normal amount of picks, as anybody else in the entire league. And you get Kevin Durant. Like I'm not even like just give him 10 picks.
I agree with that, and that was a valid take.
Yeah.
But back to the question.
Right.
So no, I don't think it's the Warriors.
Okay.
And the Nuggets right now. I've been wanting to talk about the Nuggets. For both of these questions, I feel like, well, Nikola Jokic, if he won the championship with this roster, I feel like it would be the most impressive out of everybody.
Okay.
I don't think it would do the most for his legacy, but I do think it would be the most impressive. But that team,
will it be the best ring? Will it be the best ring for a center ever if he were to win?
Yes, and I think that would replace him. Just go ahead and replace him with Shaq.
Yeah.
Like I absolutely feel that way. That could sound as crazy as you think it is.
No. If Jokic wins the finals this year, makes the finals. Like if
he makes
the finals, he's above Shaq. And I'm talking off of.
I'll put it like this: do we realize what he did on his playoff run? This is what I'll tell you at first. Out of all those 3 guys I named, Curry, Giannis, Joker had the most impressive playoff run out of any of those guys. He took down Kevin Durant and LeBron James in the same postseason. Stephen Curry's postseason run, it was a great run. It cemented Stephen Curry as maybe the best point guard of all time. But you played the Grizzlies, you played the Mavs with a young Luka.
Yeah,
and I forgot who they played.
Kings.
They played the Nuggets in the first round. Was that when
they played the Kings?
They played the Nuggets first round that year, and Jamal Murray was not playing.
You sure you didn't play the Kings?
The year they played the Kings, they got eliminated the next round by the Lakers.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah, so that wasn't as impressive as a run. And the Bucks, KD, if his foot isn't on the line, obviously that. And then they play the Hawks the next round. So I think Joker already had the most impressive run out of all of them. Yeah. And this would, by far,
I mean, it puts him over Hakeem.
Yeah, I mean, this. Look, I don't want to go that far, but you could easily say Jokic is the best offensive talent of all time if he makes a run after this year.
Yeah.
And it would be crazy to make a run.
He's so good. The fact that I give them a shot.
Absolutely. And that's my point. I feel like
this team is so bad.
we don't talk about their general management enough, bro. They have did a horrible job after the championship trying to replace guys.
Literally, they lost Bruce Brown and haven't been able to recover. I'm talking about this trade deadline. I'm thinking the Nuggets are going to do something. The Nuggets are going to do something. The Lakers did something. The Warriors did something. All these teams did something. Shoot, even teams took a vision and took a step back on their future, traded like Brandon Ingram or like. The Nuggets, literally, you didn't have to have the Warriors. We got to go get a number 2 now.
Yeah.
The Lakers, we got to go get Luka to change it. To win with Jokic, we were asking the Nuggets management to get a 3-and-D player.
They got
a player that could hit 3 threes and play defense. 2 threes, play defense. Shoot, have an off night, but then get hot one night in the playoffs. We weren't asking you to get. We were asking you to go get KCP or something, a player like that.
The one you had when you won a championship.
You get what I'm saying? The Nuggets management has not been able to build a. Can we the Nuggets would be? Am I tripping? Or they could have the number 1 pick if they didn't have Jokic. Westbrook being a top guy would look trash. Michael Porter Jr. without Jokic as a facilitator, or whatever. He would what? He would be solid. Murray as a number 1, even especially in the regular season.
And the fact that Michael Porter Jr. hasn't excelled more than he has with Jokic is disgusting. I thought he would develop.
Why couldn't you get Levine? Go get Levine.
Exactly. And my point is, I feel like we talked about how important that second option is.
Yeah.
I feel like something else that is very important is that 5th guy. Yes. Who is the worst guy that you have on the floor?
Yes.
And what are they going to mean for your lineup?
Yes.
With the Denver Nuggets, okay, fine. You got that core of Jokic, Murray, Gordon, and MPJ.
Yes.
Even though MPJ, once again, has developed like a banana on a sidewalk at the best. But that 5th guy, I don't trust Christian Brown in the playoff series, especially
not in this competitive West.
When Aaron Gordon is already closing up your spacing, and you need to have Aaron Gordon on the court because he's so effective as a defender and as a rebounder and as a player that you could put in the dunker spot. Yeah. But with Christian Brown, with Peyton Watson, with Russell Westbrook, you built a team of rim runners around the most dominant interior force since Shaq.
Yes.
Why is there no shooting on this roster?
I don't understand.
So I really do look at this squad, and I find it funny how anyone could think that this team could make. I'm not going to say finals. How could you think this team is going to make a conference finals when they're going to have to go through the Warriors, the Thunder, or the Lakers? You can't think that. No. They cannot beat any of those teams.
Even the Timberwolves again. Their rosters are just better.
And Minnesota's also one of my favorite teams in the league, who I think is probably the biggest sleeper in the league. Biggest dark horse.
And it was the Mavericks, but due to injuries, now they are the dark horse.
They are my favorite.
And the Warriors got so good that they're not a dark horse anymore. That they're But
my thing is, Jokic had a dominant year. You saw how dominant this guy was. You had shooting around him, and you have completely let him down. And if you think that they could beat the Thunder when Chet Holmgren is going to be under the paint waiting for him, Hartenstein is going to be under the paint, and we're going to have all the same problems Minnesota gave him last year. Thunder illustrate the same amount of problems, but more, because we have outside scoring. The Lakers, the Nuggets are not being. This is not the same. This is not the same. This AD was cool, okay? This is not the same.
No.
The thing about Luka and LeBron, forget about the defense. You have to score with those guys.
Yes. I mean, I think, although, just put it to you like this. You had AD thinking that would counter Jokic. No one can counter Jokic. Jokic is going to be better than whatever big you throw at him.
Exactly.
Instead, you get Luka, who they can just cancel each other out.
Exactly.
And then you got LeBron versus Murray. LeBron. Then you got Rui versus
Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves too.
Austin Reeves can get 40.
We haven't even talked about Austin Reeves.
Haven't.
Austin Reeves might be. Austin Reeves is the key to this team. I mean, they have 3 guys that at any time can go get you a bucket.
Can get 40.
Austin Reeves and LeBron can play off ball.
They have 3 guys that can get 40.
It's ridiculous. So my point is, the Nuggets cannot even make a run. But once again, it would be a very impressive run, and you would have to start giving Jokic the title of some things that a lot of people wouldn't want to give him the credit for because he's not a very vocal guy.
Yeah.
But we don't want to get into that once again because I think, once again, like you said, First off, the most to gain would be Stephen Curry. Like you said.
5 rings.
Most to gain, 5 rings. You can say this guy's the GOAT. And there's been a discussion lately. I think Shaq was the one who said that we need to start putting Stephen Curry in the GOAT discussion. Yeah. And no, we shouldn't, because he shouldn't be in the GOAT discussion. Like straight up, he shouldn't. It's Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Those are the 3. I mean, you look at those careers, and they're just not like the others, kind of.
Yeah.
But if Stephen Curry wins 5 in this year, particularly, where he shouldn't win this year, by the way.
No.
What can you say? He inspired a generation of basketball like no one else ever has. He has 5 championships. You can't say he didn't win without
He changed
help.
the game more than any player has ever changed the game. He got, yes, here's the problem with saying, and you can't do this with LeBron as much, but, well, you kind of can, but with talent, we talk about, Jordan never won without Pippen, but vice versa. Like, that is a BS argument. But Jimmy never won the big one until he got to, hopefully, maybe Golden State. Kevin Durant never won the big one, still hasn't. Might retire without winning, without Steph Curry. There's a common denominator here.
Yeah.
It's Steph Curry. It has such an impact, and he's another guy who I haven't been a fan of the Warriors roster construction in the prime of.
Me too.
Because you don't have. I mean, I would say Poole was a good isolation scorer. Curry was good, obviously, but then you have Draymond, Wiggins. Wiggins was playing good, but it's Wiggins, Kevon Looney. That was your championship roster.
I think
that's a good roster. Yeah. My point is, though, the value of Curry is his attraction to the 3-ball, and the way you have to guard Stephen Curry is what makes, other than Poole, what makes every single one of those other players elite on the offensive end. Yeah. You throw that same year of Wiggins on any other team, he's just a really good wing in the league. He's not an elite. I mean, I've said this in the past. You put every time, whether it's Kevin Durant, whether it's before he got old, Iguodala, like a prime Iguodala, or now Jimmy Butler, when you put an elite wing, or even Wiggins, when you put a good elite wing around him, and I think another thing, Kuminga's not even back yet.
No. You
talk about a lineup with Draymond. I mean, especially
they're going to be able to go.
When they play the Lakers, they can do this because Jackson Hayes is not that good.
Yeah.
You can do Draymond Green at the 5.
Yeah.
Kuminga, Butler, Curry, throw in Pods or who you want at the 2 to hit shots. There's a lot of, when Kuminga comes back, I love the Warriors. I really do. And there's just these vibes of Jimmy Butler Jimmy Butler could outplay anyone.
He could
literally outplay anyone.
He could outplay Steph.
He could be the best. We could sit here and be like,
that's a very likely. That's very
if
likely.
If the Warriors were, I think that's what it has to be.
Yeah.
You sit back and be like, or it's like a 1A 1B.
Yeah, that's what it's gonna have to be if they do make that run.
Yes, you're gonna have to sit here and be
that doesn't make it any less impressive on Steph's part.
100%. It's just Jimmy was that good this year. But yeah, I think Jimmy would have to have a conference finals or finals MVP type performances for them to do that, and I think it's a very high possibility if he can stay healthy.
Absolutely, but my fault. I know I had to rush you a little right there, but So where I was getting to with that is I think the Bucks have the most likely opportunity out of those 3 teams.
Okay,
and I think the reason for that is easier conference.
Yeah.
First off, easier road, because let's be real. Who is beating the Milwaukee Bucks if it's not going to be the Boston Celtics? Throw me the Cleveland Cavaliers all you want. I do like the Cavs. I think the Cavs are better than the fluke years that they have been in the past.
Right.
But I'm taking Milwaukee in that series. So my thing is, I think the addition of Kyle Kuzma was a great fit in place of Chris Middleton for the Milwaukee Bucks. And when you look at it on paper, people like Damian Lillard, you don't call them a hole on defense. Like Luka, you could call them a hole, but are they really a hole when they're doing the exact same thing on the opposite side of the ball? Like, let's relax.
Yeah.
So you have Damian Lillard, you have Taurean Prince, who's a 3-and-D guy. You have AJ Green, who's another 3-and-D guy. You have Giannis, who's obviously playing. You have Kyle Kuzma. So now you can switch a lot. Dame is obviously going to be that one mismatch. But you have Brook Lopez. That is the team to where, other than the Warriors, if I'm the Celtics, I don't really want to see the Bucks. And it could just be because of Giannis. Yeah. Giannis could wreak havoc in that series. But once again, y'all have played 3 times in the past 7 years in the playoffs. Yeah. This is a familiar series, and it's somewhere that both teams, that the Bucks as underdogs would want to be, and the Celtics as a team that probably should be the favorites. Yeah. They probably don't want to play in that series. So I think the Bucks would. I think the Bucks would love to be in that situation, and it might be in a second round series.
I think, me personally, as a Celtics fan, the team that I am, and the Bucks are really good, and they, in a coincidence, no other team could say this in the East, I feel like, but they would have the best player in that series. Yeah. The Milwaukee Bucks. You have a great argument of saying that. And they have beat us before. Yeah. But we season swept them this year. Obviously, Kuzma wasn't there for 2 of those or 3 of those, whatever. But I think I'm a fan of the Cavs. Like, when they beat us, though, we haven't had everybody. Like, we're playing Sam Hauser in the clutch, or we didn't have Porzingis for one of them. The one time we were healthy, we smacked them. But even, I mean, you could just see us flip switches. We're up 25-2. Not to say, like, us blowing the lead is not okay. None of those things. I'm not just making it seem like we're not trying. But I think in the East, the team that I was most worried about preseason and you got traded was the Heat, because they play hard, or the Knicks, because they play hard in defense, but they really don't. No. Like, the defense don't.
Their defense isn't
great.
Their
defense is not good like it was supposed to be. Yeah. So it's either the Bucks or the Cavs, but I would say the Cavs on the simple fact that I think the Bucks would beat the Cavs. I mean, I think the Cavs will beat the Bucks.
I don't think that.
On the simple fact of the matchup of, they're probably the best team to guard Giannis with Jared Allen and Mobley. They're probably the best team to guard him. And then guard play wise, I would take the Cavs as well. Yes, you have Dame. But I would take this year. I would take Garland and Mitchell, and I don't think people talk about this enough. The series I was most worried about in last year's playoffs was the Cavs series for the Celtics, other than the finals.
Does that say anything though?
No, hold on. I'm just saying. Donovan Mitchell is clutch. Like, he doesn't. That's a player who doesn't get enough media recognition, and I'm still unsure if he's a number 1 guy. But if he's not a number 1 guy, he might end up being one of the best number 2s in the NBA if he ever finds his number 1 to play with.
He is a number 2
on a championship.
Yeah, I think he's a number 2.
Yeah, and he's that, like, and it's all dependent on Mobley. How you talk about with J-Dub. Yeah, it's all dependent on how much Mobley steps up. Can Mobley hit the 3 ball? Because if Mobley can't hit the 3 ball come playoff time, and the regular season was just capped, you have 2 centers that.
DG has also consistently been pretty poor in the playoffs. Yeah. So that's also why I'm skeptical on the Cavs.
Ty Jerome has stepped up almost like Pritchard.
Yeah. And DeAndre Hunter is a good addition as well.
DeAndre Hunter is a great 3-and-D addition. Once again, like Nuggets. Yeah. That's all you have to do. Get a guy like that. We're not asking you to do a lot. But back to, I think with the regular season that they've had, I'm very interested to see if the Cavs, and I would bet that the Cavs and the Celtics would be a conference finals game. But I'm really, really interested to see how the league shakes up in the East, because we could be wrong, and this could be like when Donovan Mitchell was on the Jazz.
Yeah, all I know is if I see the Pacers in another conference finals, which I won't lie, they showed up more than I thought they were gonna. They could have won a couple of those games.
They could have won like 6.
Yeah, they could have won.
Game 1.
1 and 2 were close at the end. Game 3 is the only game y'all really blew them out.
And then, those were home games for us. Think about like if we're down going to Indiana. Like, I think Indiana, but I think that Indiana is definitely different. They're definitely different this year.
Yeah, and they have one of the best coaches in the league as well, which helps. So.